What's up, YouTube? I know that you've been looking for a full calendar feature built with Laravel and Vue, and you're perfectly in the right place. So I'm going to walk you through what we're going to build here. So as you have noticed, this is a very simple design, nothing really special. I'm just having a single page application here where I can add new events, display events. But this is very powerful and I'm going to walk you through the application right now. So at first, we're just going to try to create an event here. Let's say meeting with CEO, and that's going to be on the 14th of June up until Saturday. Oh, that's my day off. Uh, Hit save, and as you have noticed, um, the new event was appended here in the calendar. And by the way, you can click the event, and as you can see, the data here was filled out, and you have options to cancel, delete, or update. So let's try updating this one. Let's say meeting with CEO, review tech, and I really wish I am a CEO, guys. So let me try ahead and click update and see what happened. Oh, all right. So actually, you can see the update right here since you know, the column is pretty much shrink. But if we're going to click on that, you see that we have successfully updated the data. And to prove that, let me refresh the server here. And you see, right? Let's try to update that again, remove it, click update, reload, and as you can see, it updated successfully, right? Okay, so right now, let's try to remove an event. So let's click this one, hit on delete, and voila, the event was removed. How cool is that, guys? And just to make sure, let's try to refresh our server to see what happens. And right, I'm right. It was deleted right now. Okay. So by the way, guys, I'm not going to walk you through, or this is not a code along tutorial. Instead, I have pretty much created the or coded the scripts already for this application. And this tutorial is not for beginners. This is for developers or programmers out there who has experience or tried working with Laravel, PHP object-oriented, obviously, and then also with Vue library or framework, you could say, whatever. So first thing that I've done here is create a model migration and the resource. So I know you guys know that already, but if you just wanted to make some refresher about that, let me write a command. So by the way, for creating projects, I know that or you're pretty much familiar with it. Just need to say composer create project, preferred this Laravel slash Laravel. Name of your application, just say full calendar. And maybe you want to specify the version. I wanted to, by the way, I'm using 5.7 and you see the wildcard here specifying that I want the latest one. So I'm not going to run this command because obviously I have the application up and running already. But just in case you might, ask how did I create a project or some refresher, whatever. All right. So once you have installed Laravel in your machine, all you need to do is also run npm install to install Vue. And for this application, obviously, we need a third-party library that we can work on with the Fullcalendar. And I have these links right here, guys. I'm going to provide this on the description below. This is a pretty much comprehensive website for you to follow along, explore some functionalities with Fullcalendar. So basically, this is what I have run after running npm install. But the thing is, I've added at full calendar slash interactive, not interactive, but interaction, because with ES6 build systems, interaction is required for you to be able to have click events or event listeners for your full calendar. So I'm going to show you what it is at a later time. But for now, I just wanted to let you know that we also need these packages. So go ahead and install them. So I'm not going to do that as well because I've done it pretty much. So right after that, you're good. So the next thing to do is make model. You can say PHP artisan make model, then the name of the model. I named mine calendar. And just to let you know, guys, you can also specify some options here. R stands for the resource, or the resource for your controller. M stands for model, and you can actually look for some options right here. So you've added dash dash help, and you can see a lot of options here. So what I've done is actually just put RM for the resource controller and the model for these applications. So I'm not going to go into details or I'm not going to run the command because I've done that already. And one thing as well that you need to know is create or make resource. This is for your to configure your the data that you're going to pass in through with JSON. So just type in PHP artisan make resource, then you can name it calendar resource. I named mine calendar resource actually. So I've done that, and that's pretty much it. If I'm going to look in my code editor, I can see here that I've created a model successfully. I've created the controller. So that's what happened when I run PHP artisan make model dash R M, and I've also created a resource as what I have shown you before diving into the code editor. I think you have seen it already, this one. So let me walk you through on how our database or the migration looks. So let's go ahead and see what I've configured here. I've just added event name, start date, end date, and you can see their data types right here. That's pretty much it, guys. Then I did not create any factory or seeder, but this is the important part. Make sure to create guarded, protected property name guarded and set it equal to array. This is actually the same for your setting equal a property name available equal to something, like event name, start date, end date. So with this example, you would need to explicitly tell Laravel that I want to edit the following set of data in my model, but I want to have the short version because I know I'm going to, you know, pretty much edit or add or yeah, modify every data that I have with the model. So this is the shorter version if you don't know. All right. So right after that, as you have remember, we have created also a resource, and the resource will actually return a JSON format data. So right here, I've simply returned an array, and this will be converted to JSON. So you can specify the property names here. So notice that in our database, we called it event name, but we wanted to pass in title when someone makes some request with our server. So instead of start date, start, instead of end date, it's end right here. So this is all the data that we are returning via JSON format. So you can name it whatever you want, but I've structured it this way because you will see that at a later time because I pretty much used or the Fullcalendar pretty much used this property names. All right then. So we're going to dive now deeper into how I've configured the controllers for the full calendar. All right, so let's go to controllers, calendar controller. All right, so let's start with the index. So as you can see here, I'm calling calendar resource, this one, and we have access to its function collection. Then we are making some query with our database. We are getting all the collection or resources or data we have in our MySQL server. That's all it's doing right here. It is just getting all the information from our database and um, sending it to someone that is requesting for this specific route that I'm going to show you at a later time. So this is going to display this data in this format. All right. So with this store function, all we need to do here is just create a variable, then um, store all the requests, then give a response to our user or our client. And as you can see, I've just configured some um, data here, the status, message, the data, which will be in the end display the JSON format of the stored data. And then this is this is something that I've just tested out. So I've actually tried to query my database with Postman. Not going to walk you through with that because I think it will take longer or the tutorial will take longer. So right here with the update, we're just simply updating all the requests. I know you guys are familiar with this already. We're just calling the model, then it has the update property, and right here, just update all information that we passed in. And then just the typical thing that we do, send a response to the client as to what happens. Okay, that's pretty much simple. And then same goes with the delete method. just simply call the model and delete what's what data we're passing in here. If, for example, the ID is 1, then it will be deleted. Then simply return this message, event removed successfully. All right, so that's pretty much it. And if you wanted to make sure that you're following along, you can go ahead and pause the video and code it on your own. All right, so right after that, I recommend that you run your server, run PHP artisan serve, then also run npm run watch. What this will do is compile all your code. It's going to watch for changes and minify it so that you can see the changes right after hitting save on your text editor or IDE. So you need to execute this one, and it might take long for the first time that you run it because it will require some package or dependencies, but that will not take 5 minutes, I guess. Okay, so what's next? The next thing you're gonna do is go to resources, or I'm sorry, go to your routes. And for this one, I created an API resource instead of web. I just preferred using the API here, but you can do whatever you want. This is just for a very simple tutorial. So right here, I have created a route or API resource, and I prefix it with the name calendar, pointing to my calendar controller. And as you can see here, if I run PHP artisan list or route list, I'm sorry, you can see the list of route that Laravel provides us with this very tiny piece of code. As you can see, it provides all the routes, name of our routes. So as simple as that. How cool is that, guys? So we have access to different kinds of HTTP requests to our server now. And by the way, with my resources here, I only have one view that Laravel ships with when you install it. It's called welcome.php. So I've just deleted some of the code in the body section of the HTML and added these tags right here because Vue will be looking for an ID name app for Vue to render its component. And right here, make sure to put this in right after creating your div with the ID app so that Vue can look into the DOM and see that you have created an ID named app. And you might also want to include this to include the compiled CSS. And if you're asking where the heck are these files coming from, it's coming from here, public CSS, then JavaScript, right? They're the same. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. I've just added this component, which is the only single component that we'll be using here. And to check that, let's go ahead and click on JS, go to components. And one thing that I haven't showed you yet is here the app. You need to add this one here. So I've just modified the existing or the default here, which is example component. Change it equal to the component that I've created, this one, Where is it? This one right here. So this is all the code that we need to have that beautiful full calendar feature. There's nothing special with the markup here, it's just some basic bootstrap. Yeah, and no worries, guys. You can simply style your very own calendar feature right here. So basically, it is just a little bit of markup here. I just created my own form, then tell Vue.js that once submit is detected, prevent the default by prevent sending HTTP requests, so it's not going to reload. Okay. So right here, so you can see I have created the input for event name, and it's binding to the new event property right here with our data. Right here, it's a binding to event name. Same goes for the start date and for the end date. All right. So I'm not going to walk you through on the click events for each buttons yet. I'm going to walk you through what we will be needing to have the full calendar. So as what I've mentioned earlier, you need the full calendar packages for the full calendar to function properly. And you can see the list here, actually, this one. So you need to install these dependencies for your full calendar to work properly. And as you can see here, we're just importing those packages. This one is the component, the full calendar component that we need right here. Then the day grid plugin, which is pretty much the default, um, you know, design or grid structure. And the interaction plugin that I'm talking about earlier for us to be able to have some event listeners or DOM manipulation, you could say. And as you know, actually, while installing Vue.js or Laravel, it also ships with Axios. Right? So right here, I created property name components and just simply add full calendar as a component right here, then use it at the top. And you also need to create a property name calendar plugins, which will contain the grid plugin and the interaction plugin. So there it is. You need to bind plugins with this property. And you might be wondering what it is, what this is. This is going to be the list of our events. And we're setting it equal to nothing at first, but we're binding events props here on full calendar to point to this property here, events. And by the way, guys, make sure that you have the correct spelling for these properties right here. All right. So first of all, as you can notice here, we're displaying already the a single event that we have in our database. But you might be asking, how did I do it? It's very simple, guys. I just put or execute some functions on my created hook that Vue already has. You don't need to, you know, invent it or whatever. It ships with Vue already. I know that you are familiar with hooks already, guys. So it's just simply getting the events right here, this is the code that I'm talking about. It's simply saying, hey, go to this path, then set these events equal to the data that you're getting, then console log some errors if you have one. So that's it. So I can show you. Sorry. So these are, or this is the only event we have fetched from the database right here. All right. So right after that, let's go ahead and let me explain to you how I did add new events to the calendar. So on my button tag right here, I just created a add new event function whenever I click on this button. So what this add new event does is simply telling, hey, Axios, go to this route. And if you don't know what this is, guys, this is the ES6 feature, which will allow you to spread the properties of an object. As you can see here, new event is an object that has some properties in it. So it's going to simply goes like this: event name, start date, then end date. But this is a very short way of doing that, and I love doing it. So right here, since this is a promise, once the promise is done and it's successful, I am simply fetching all the new added events and append it right here, or update the events property. See what you can see here, that's what I'm doing. I'm simply setting this that events to the data that I'm getting from the database, and I'm resetting the form, as you can see here, then logging out any errors if we have one, or if we encounter one. So you might be asking, how does the receipt form looks like? All right, so here it is. I'm just saying object.keys, this that new event. As you can remember, this little one right here, since it's an object, I'm using for each for that to get each property. So I'm just setting each property equal to nothing to clear the form. And that's very simple, right? And I guess that's pretty much it for the new or adding new events for the full calendar. Just save it. Then right here on this feature, you've noticed that if I click, if it's going to append the data right here for this event name, start date, and the end date. Also, it changes the button right here, right? So it's very simple, guys. I have just created this property adding mode. So that is initially set to true. So right here, I conditionally render my buttons. So I'm telling that, hey, view, if adding mode is true, um, show us the save event. But if it's not, then please render these buttons. Then remove this one. And by the way, guys, if you don't know what template is, this is actually available already with the HTML5, and this is not going to be rendered to the DOM. So this is actually what is going to be rendered. That's why I've used this instead of div. All right. So going back, you won't be asking why I have this data right here once I click it, right? Since I've already explained that those inputs are binding to new event right here. What and will interest you is that when we click each of the calendar events, I've added this event click that full calendar ships with, and to see all the events that you can use, you can go to this link, and I'm going to add this to the description below as well. So I'm just saying that once the event is clicked, go ahead and perform this function or execute this function show event. So what show event does, and by the way, it automatically have this argument. And if we're going to console.log this one just to show you, there are a bunch of options that you can choose from right here. As you can see, it has the element, the event, and the list goes on, guys. So you can explore furthermore about this one on your own, I guess. So I'm just setting adding mode to false so that the buttons will disappear, or the save event button will disappear, and these guys will come up or replace the button. So I'm just fetching or finding the data which will be equal to the ID of the event, or simply I'm going into all the events and then finding the event that matches the ID specific to this event or whatever event you click on. So this is the new way of destructuring the data. You can extract the ID, title, start, and end. And as you can see here, it's these properties are available under new or events right here. And I also have this data index to update, which is initially set to nothing. And I've done this to keep track of um, what event we're trying to update or delete. And I'm setting new event to the one that I've extracted here, the one that matches to the event that we click. Because again, those input fields are binding to this property, new event. So once I click this, it will update the data to this event. So it will have this data filled out already. So that's pretty much it. So it removes the button, then replaces it with this button right here. And what this button does is update, delete, and cancel. So let's go with cancel first. So what cancel does is very easy. It's just simply, excuse me, setting adding mode to false again or true, because by the time that you click on this, the adding mode is false. Then when you click cancel, the adding mode comes true again, then save event appears and three buttons disappear. All right, so let's go back, click the event here, and notice that we also have these events for each button. For the update, I have the function update event, and what this does is simply update the specific data from our database. So this is the path API calendar then the ID, then give the data that we wanted to update. And once that is finished, we're just simply resetting the form, getting all the updated events, then changing the adding mode to what it is not right now. If it is true, set it to false. If it is false, set it to true. I know you get the idea, guys. And then just logging out the error. Then that's it. And last but not least is the delete event. When we click on the delete button, what it does is just going to this route. Notice that you should use delete, not post, not put. Put is for updating, delete for deleting, of course. And just going to this route, API calendar, then the ID. Then once it is completed, once the promise is resolved, then reset the form, then get the new events, then set the adding mode to what it is not right now, so that these buttons right here will disappear and the save event will pop up. So, alright, that's all that I need to let you know, guys. And let's try to delete this just to end the video. And as you can see, it's gone. Alright, I hope you've learned a lot from this tutorial, guys. And if you think that it's kind of really fast, let me know so that I can create a call along for this tutorial. And if you like this video, go ahead and like, share, comment, and subscribe for more videos. This is Robutech signing out. Thanks again for watching.